on time.
Looking good, dude.
Thank you. I've been working out. I have plenty of free time now. There's not really
Oh
much
my
shit else
God.
to do. What have you been up to?
Uh, um, uh, a lot of things actually. So I moved out of the city. I moved out of the city on the 1st of February, which is like crazy that I did that during this time. I didn't even know any of this, of course, was going to happen. But I moved out of the city. We moved up here to the house that my girlfriend and I, Grace, own, and basically since this whole thing has gone down, we've just been like working on home projects, working on like garden projects, painting, like drawing, trying to get these other like t-shirt projects and stuff like that for some companies that are like that are still moving, and also doing homeschooling with her nephews. So her nephews are up here; they're 4 and 5, and we are their art and science nature teachers. So I bring them on hikes. I show them salamanders. We find like deer carcasses. We go traipsing through the woods. And then we also do art projects with them for like 3 to 4 hours a day. So it's a lot of work.
So you're still working full time.
I'm like working full time, like 4 hours with the kids every day at least. And but no, like I have a couple of illustration projects, but everything else fell through. I would say I lost like $10,000 worth of jobs, um, that I was supposed to have for these next, March, April, May, maybe June, but hopefully I didn't lose the jobs in June. So we'll see what happens, man. A lot of the jobs are, mainly they're all mural jobs. That's how I make like my biggest part of my income is through mural jobs. So of course, all of those, and a lot of them were in the city, at certain bars and stuff like that. So they definitely all fell through. Um, so we'll see what happens. But I think the jobs will come back slowly, as people, recover financially. Um, like we're not at war, we haven't been bombed, so like all of the infrastructure is still here for everyone's jobs. It just depends on
Like
how
when
to
it's
move
safe to
forward
go.
after all
Yeah, when it's
this.
safe to go back to it all. Yeah, that's kind of my
Yeah.
perspective as well. I keep on talking to people about it, but to me, it doesn't really seem logical to think of this as the same as 2008 or even the Great Depression, because back then it was like a gamble that went sour for the entire economy, and that's why it all crashed. Whereas right now, it's like, as you said, we have the infrastructure, we have all the people that are ready and willing to work, and technically the jobs are still there. It's just that everything seems to be on pause. So it's like it's a matter now of waiting it out to see like when we can press play again, essentially, for lack of better words, right? I mean, I don't know. What's your
Yeah,
perspective?
yeah, I fully agree with you. The federal government has. I think there's some big problems here, as you can see with my shirt. But look, I'll be honest. My father's an infectious disease specialist. He's treating people with COVID-19 in Massachusetts right now. Um, uh, the federal government has really fucked people over. The fact that they have bailed out these huge companies again and again and again. The fact that they went retroactively, on like real estate people to not pay taxes since 2018 when there wasn't really a virus going around. Um, they have really fucked us, and they've been able to pull out trillions of dollars, and out of nowhere apparently. But they can't give people health care. There can't be checks, like health checks for people. They're giving us like crumbs, $1,200. It's a disaster. But yeah, financially, I think things will go hopefully back. But people lost 3, 4, 5 months of income, and they still have to pay everything. you know. So that's really where like the biggest burden is the fact that people still have to pay all of these things, and we're not getting a break as regular people. Hold on, let me let my cat in. Come on, Hood. Um, so yeah, that's my perspective on it. But yeah, we've just, like I said, we've been trying to keep busy and just keep our like creative juices and flow going. And living up here is definitely different from being in the city.
How far north are you
It's
guys?
not. We're like around Hudson, so we're like 2.5 hours from the city. Um, and the biggest thing I think, I miss, of course, my friends and everyone, but I just miss like diversity. I miss like hearing different languages and being able to go to my bodega and speak Spanish, and like having like my other bodega guys being from Libya. I don't know, it's just like it's very
It's New York.
that's New York City, and
Yeah.
that's really what I loved about the city. And yeah, so that's like what we kind of miss up here. But we're happy to be here, man. And we're fortunate, I think, enough to be here during this time, and to have like a family that we go to and that we see every single day, and kids and stuff. Um, and yeah, we're just happy. And this is my cat Hodor, and he's a good guy.
Yo, have you watched that
um,
to diverge into something completely different? Have you watched Don't Fuck with Cats?
I haven't. I heard it's crazy.
Yeah, you should definitely peep.
Yeah, I might watch it. I don't like animal cruelty and like shit like that. And but we'll see. I mean, there's so much time that we have now, and I've actually, honestly, like since I've moved here, I like pretty much like stopped watching like during the day in the city. And this is one of the reasons why I moved. I needed a change, and I like didn't feel that like as an artist and as a person I was really like growing too much in the city. And it's kind of crazy to say that because there's like unlimited growth in the city, but I feel that like the group that I was in, and I don't know, I just wasn't like being challenged anymore. And I wanted to move up to here, also to start studying because I really want to go into a master's program,
Hmm.
for like to do an MBA at UMass again. So yeah, since I moved here, I haven't really been. I've been reading a lot, and I wasn't really much of a reader before, but now I've been like reading tons of books. I run 2 miles a day. I drink a smoothie every single day. And like back in like in the city, I would just sit there and like smoke weed and like watch skate videos and all this stuff, which is totally fine. But I just like that's why I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of here. If I'm paying this amount of money to live in New York City, I can't be on my couch, like like smoking weed and like watching videos. I gotta do something. And I
Yeah.
just kind of fell into a rut like that. And I was like I can't be paying all this rent here and kind of being stressed out, if I'm gonna use my time like that.
Hmm. That's understandable. But it is easy to burn out here. Like last summer, pretty much, I I took like 4 months off from work, and granted, I still ended up because I would get so bored and flustered and restless. I would still take on gigs here and there, but I had to tell my boss. I was like, look, I've been doing way too much recently. Not for like one job, but it was working a 9 to 5, doing the mission statement, filming music videos, and all this other shit in the evenings or on the weekends. Before you know it, you're like, all work and no play.
Yeah.
Can't really sustain like that for too long.
Yeah, I mean, for me it was similar, but then also a little different. I I was just freelancing in the city. I was paying around $1,000 every single month. So like I had to come up with, just for rent. So I had to come up with $1,000 every single month. And it got to a point where like it just it it kind of hindered my creativity. Being poor hinders your creativity, like it hinders like you being able to think outside of the box and do other things, because every single day you're thinking about like, how am I going to make this money again, and how am I going to do this, and how am I going to move forward. And that just kind of like clouded me. And yeah, I just wanted to change, and I wanted to like make myself like a like better, just my own self. But yeah, the burnout is it's a real thing.
Yeah, big time. Why don't you intro yourself and tell everyone who you are, where you hail from?
All right.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Ramiro, Ramiro Davaro-Comas, Ramiro Davaro-Comas. I am originally born in Argentina, in Buenos Aires, and we did a lot of back and forth with my family till we landed in Massachusetts.
Oh, I thought you were Puerto
And
Rican.
Puerto Rican, that's insane. Um, I
I'm
mean,
just
I
playing.
think
I'm
actually a
playing.
lot of people from Massachusetts, because there's like a radio station called Jammin' 94.5, and there used to be a guy on there. I think he might still be on there, and he calls himself Ramiro, the freaking Puerto Rican. Um, but
No,
no,
I
I'm
knew
from
I knew you
Buenos
weren't
Aires.
Puerto Rican. I'm just fucking with you.
um, but yeah, I from basically raised in Massachusetts, and I did a lot of traveling, and finally settled in New York City for the past 7 years. And I just moved out, and now I live upstate, close to Albany, and it's a very nice change, very
Beautiful.
welcoming.
Beautiful. It is really pretty up there, but I'm still not ready to make that jump out of the city. I still need the shit. I need the hustle.
Yo, I fully understand. I mean, it does get a little bit boring. It gets a little monotone here. But I don't know. I was living in the city for 7 years, selling artwork and doing all that thing. And I think I personally, me, um, I like I want to like be less selfish, because I don't want to speak for any other artist, but like I would make a painting, I would put it on Instagram, I would try to sell paintings, and start my career, which I did. Thank you to New York City. Um, but like I want to do more community work, and I want to do more public art projects that affect not just me, that are really going to affect a community, and that can like uplift places and inspire kids and families and communities to to like, I don't know, just to like do better.
Mm-hmm.
I was so into like I need to put out a new shirt, and I got to get these stickers, and like the hustle and in that. But I just found it to be, for me, not to anyone else, I just found it to be so selfish, and if as an artist I have like a skill that I can share with people, why not do that? Why stay in my studio and like do these things where only I can see them, and a few select people can see them, and a few select people can afford them even,
Mm-hmm.
like drawings that I make go anywhere from like $60 to like $500. Paintings, anywhere from like $200 to $10,000. And it's only like for like a select elite group of people, and I got sick of that, man. Um, I just got sick of it. This year, like earlier this year, I went to Indiana, Pennsylvania, which is like, it's like an hour.
That's the city was called Indiana.
Yeah, Indiana,
Oh,
Pennsylvania, the home of Jimmy Stewart. And I went there to do a residency for a week, and to plan this other big project that I was doing with my residency program, Drip Down the Road. And I painted a mural in an elementary school. And like the reception there was unbelievable. Like the kids loved it. The teachers loved it. They thanked me. It was such a great experience. Sometimes when I paint a mural in Brooklyn or New York City, the next day someone tags over it, or like there's someone pissing on the wall, or like, the cops will ask you a million times, "Are you sure you're allowed to do that?" Like it's just it was just a different experience, and through those kinds of community projects, I've just found more value, in doing that for not just myself but for other people.
Hmm. No, that's great. Did you always want to? Did you always kind of want to be in the community, the type of community you find yourself in now? Because I mean, when I first met you, that's like when you did you go to school for art? I forget.
No, actually, as an immigrant, we all know what our parents want us to do. You're either a business person, a lawyer, or a doctor. Um,
Of
so,
course.
so of course, so no, I went to UMass Amherst and I went to the Eisenberg School of Management. So
Oh, that's
there,
right.
I graduated with a degree in hospitality and tourism management with a focus on event management. So, but I had always been illustrating, drawing, painting, and doing all those things since I was a little kid. And I think going to business school helped me think and see it and run it as a business. Um, Speaking with so many different people who went to art school, um, you know, they have a harder time, I think, because they don't learn the business aspect of it, and that part where you really have to like do that whole part, your taxes, your advertising, all those things. I learned how to do that, or at least was guided to that form of thinking through school.
Hmm.
um, and then I was able to kind of start a couple of businesses with that.
Right. Yeah, I guess that kind of is a rarity because I mean the only school I can think of that joins both a craft like a creative craft and the business behind it would be FIT, right? Because they teach you you can take classes for pattern making and materials, but then they'll also teach you like how to spreadsheet all your expenses. Yeah, I mean I feel like they've been doing that even before QuickBooks was so accessible to everyone via phone and laptop and whatever. Interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important, and it's not just for an artist. I think for everyone, like you learn, and these are things that you should learn. But like you learn like the Pythagorean theorem and all their stuff. But you should be learning how to like do your taxes and like how to save money and how to open up a bank account, and like there should be a finance class when you're in high school, which I don't think I got. And it should just be something all Americans take. It's just so important. And you can see it in a city like New York City that you live in. Like, how important all that stuff is.
Hmm.
And like what you need to wear, how you need to wear it, how you need to speak to people. Um, it's like if you want to make a living out of this, you got to be serious.
Yeah, got to go all in.
Yeah. And if not, that's okay. If you can't, then you need to find the person who can do that for you. So like a marketing firm, an advertising firm, like people who are going to do that for you, because um, art schools are pumping out like millions of kids every single day. And that's another thing that I was thinking about. It's like my images are no more important than like the other thousands and thousands of artists that are coming out here. So like how am I gonna like move forward? How can I like be ahead of the curve, or be like a leader in my field of painting and public art and stuff? And that's one of the reasons why we started the residency program called Dripped on the Road, which is a traveling artist residency program, sometimes based out of an RV, where we bring artists up and down, usually the East Coast, but all around the United States, to paint murals, interact with different artist communities, do like services for communities like that, and we also film a full documentary series with it. And I think with that, I was able to like be a leader in the residency field and in my community art projects, because no one was doing and is doing a traveling residency program.
Hmm. No, of course. Do you want to rewind a little bit and talk about? We'll go back to going to UMass Amherst, and then how you got into the art scene, and then your trajectory to
Yeah,
moving to New York and all that.
yeah,
Hit me
sure.
with it, because I've known you for 14 years now, and like as far back as I can remember, I didn't even remember the whole business school. attendance. Like I just knew you as
Yeah,
you and Gabs and Paul, I think, all had that
and
one
Knox.
house, and Knox, yeah, all had that one house with the hot tub and the mini ramp, and then you had kind of a makeshift studio in the garage.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I started like so. I went to UMass Amherst and studied business there, and I had always been creating art. And when I was at UMass, I worked for a student-run business called Greeno's Sub Shop, and I was on like their advertising committee, and I was doing all of like the art and some like I painted a couple murals in there and that kind of creative aspect of it. And when I was living and going to UMass, I also had like a little makeshift studio in my garage, um, and from that, after I graduated UMass, I was working full time, but I was also showing art in kind of local galleries that were in the area. And I think my biggest like break at that time was working with a gallery called the Faux Gallery, which was in Northampton in Massachusetts. And they were showing like all kinds of like it mainly illustrative artwork. And they gave me like my first real solo show. And we sold a couple things, but Northampton's not like the place where you're going to be selling out of all these paintings. But that really gave me the push to want to be like a gallery artist. And From there, I think those couple of experiences and all of my friends like you and Nelson and everyone that was coming to support me at my shows really pushed me to want to continue to do this. And after a couple of years, I applied for some residency programs in Europe, and I moved to Europe for 6 months. No visa. I did not get a visa. I didn't know you had to get a visa. So I like went to. I did 3 months in Berlin, 2 months in 3 months in Berlin, 1 month in Amsterdam, and 2 months in Barcelona. And during the time there, I had saved a lot of money from working for 3 years before, and I spent all of it in 6 months, like $15,000. Um, and Which is not like that much, but at that point I had never ever ever had that kind of money.
But I mean, at least
So
you didn't blow it on
uh,
like a car. You actually had a really good experience.
yeah, that changed my life. I mean, look, I have to tell you that like I'm from Argentina, so I know the immigration story. I know the experience of travel, but until you go again when you're a little bit older and you have these experiences where you're alone, like I was alone, I didn't speak German, I didn't speak the languages that were being spoken. I do speak Spanish, so in Barcelona I was okay. um, but that was like a pretty serious experience, and I was there for 3 months, and my only job was to create art to exhibit at the end of each one of the residencies. So I had an exhibit in Berlin, in Amsterdam, in Barcelona. I had two. And when I was in Berlin, I was also invited the next year to come back and have a solo show, which I did. And I went there for a full month to do an exhibit. That experience in Europe changed my life because I met so many people. I saw so many different ways of life and different ways of living, so many different ways of being a creative. Um, and living in a residency with people from all over the world, you learn so much, and you realize like how much you were missing when you have those experiences, and it makes you uncomfortable. Like it was uncomfortable for me to not be able to speak German, and to not be able to order things and buy things. And I often bought the wrong paint at like the Home Depot and the local German Home Depot and all that. But that uncomfortableness really led to, I think, a lot of personal development, not just in myself but also in my artwork. And that's why I love residencies, art residencies, and any kind of residency so much, because the point of it is to get out of your home, to get out of the comfort zone that you're in, and to be put and placed into a completely new place. Um, and ideally you don't speak the language, you don't know the culture, and you're able to really see the world differently. And it's a shame that, so many people, not a shame, but it's unfortunate that so many people don't get to travel outside of the United States. And when they do, they let's go to Cancun, and like just continue to speak English and no one cares. It's like, these are the kind of, I think, experiences that make us who we are, and especially Americans. We need to see the world. We were the leader of the world at one point.
Right.
um, so I don't know, that was so. Anyways, sorry, I went on some tangent. But
Oh no, I
anyways,
was about to
that
bring it
really.
further down the tangent road. I was gonna say it's also different for you and I because we're actually immigrants, so we know that it's very easy here compared to a lot of other places. Like it can get pretty shitty in America, but even shitty here is like pretty modest and good in other places. You know what I mean? So it's like we already kind of know that there's another world out there and to be more curious and explore. Plus, we're also naturally, I think we have that bug in us because we're through and through skateboarders and, it's like seek and explore and, we're comfortable with being uncomfortable more so than the majority of the population.
100% right. And one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given, was skateboarding. Because you're 100% right. In all of my travels, anywhere you can go, and I swear to God, anywhere you go, if you're a skateboarder and you go to the skate park, you can find weed, a party, and a bed. At any time, you can find that. And there will always be someone who will say, okay, you can come and hang out on my couch for a day or two or whatever. I've had that experience everywhere I've traveled, all over Europe, when I was living in Australia, everywhere, all over the U.S. It it's one of those things, and you're right. It's because we're used to being uncomfortable. I mean, how many kids, when they're growing up and playing their sport, get yelled at by the police all the time? How many kids get kicked out of public spaces because they're doing what they're doing, because they're doing their sport or their activity? Skateboarding, maybe some BMX, maybe rollerblading, stuff like that. But we grow up being kind of uncomfortable, and having, to do that kind of stuff all the time, I think really, really makes you who you are. And
Yeah.
that's why I think skateboarding and skateboarders are fascinating.
Yeah.
Um,
We have a lot of character because there's a lot of character building going on throughout our lives once we start skating.
yeah.
And like it
Um,
can be I feel like a lot of skateboarding related movies will try to paint the picture as like outcasts and subculture, which it definitely kind of still is, but ultimately you don't have to. It's not just the broke kids that come from broken families or whatever that have the character building. I think it's a pretty universal thing for the majority of skaters to like just go explore and be uncomfortable and find new terrain, new people to talk to. Our community is forever growing.
Yeah, you're right. I don't come from a broken family, but it gave me so much, you know. And I mean, I started teaching. I started like a skate camp when I was 18, and we had 40 kids in it. And I saw, you can tell the kids that are interested in how much it builds your self esteem. I
Hmm.
I think at least it did for me, because dude, you fall down every single day. You're eating shit all the time. To land the trick one time, that's like actually like the description of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over, never getting a different result until you do.
Right, but that's also
um
the definition of and a metaphor for perseverance and
yeah,
character
yeah,
building, like I said. Yeah.
absolutely. um
But anywho, that tangent. So let's go back to faux gallery and
so yeah, so I showed at Faux. We sold a couple of paintings. I did a couple of shows in and around Northampton. Northampton was like, the town for me at that point. Northampton, Massachusetts. I had a show at Unite, which was an awesome like shoe clothing store, in Northampton, which was way, way, way beyond its time.
shout out
Um,
to Guy Lou.
Shout out to Guy Lou, and shout out to Brian, who now
Of
is the
course.
He's the he's running the Northampton Arts Council. Um, so, anyways, I had those shows there. Then I went and I did my residencies. And then when I came back, I did some residencies here in the United States as well. In Providence for an organization called AS220. And then I did another one for the Art Students League of New York. And they had a residency about 45 minutes from the city. So, I basically did a year of residencies and travels. Then I had my exhibit in Berlin, and that finished my year of travels and residencies. And that was in the summer of 2013. And in August of 2013, I moved to New York City. And I actually, my first couple of nights that I was in New York City, do you remember where I slept? I slept in your house.
Oh, that's right. I'm like, holy shit, I forgot
On your
about that.
couch. Me and
Yeah.
Casey slept on your couch for a couple of nights
Wow, I forgot
before
about
we
that.
found our own apartment.
Right, right, right. Damn,
And
that's
I
trippy.
think actually for that month, one of you guys was gone, someone was gone, and we had moved into the apartment for the month. Or
Yeah,
maybe you guys get some. I just remember living there for like a couple of weeks.
yeah. That's crazy. I
Um,
forgot about that.
yeah, I know. I mean, come on, 7 years ago. Um,
7 years, 7,000 alcoholic beverages.
oh my God, I know, right? So yeah, I mean, then I moved to the city in 2013, and I did like 80 different kinds of odd jobs. There was a point where I had 5 jobs. Everyone knows this story in the city. Everyone does it if they move there. Um, and eventually, one of the people from the Art Students League called me and said, "Hey, don't you have a business degree in hospitality and tourism? Why don't you come and work and be one of the directors for the residency program that we're running?" And so for like 2 or 3 years, I was a director of residency services at the Art Students League for 3 days a week. And I was driving an hour and then driving like an hour and a half back 3 days a week for like 2 or 3 years. And that was crazy. But that really gave me, again, another completely new way of understanding how residencies worked. I met so many artists from all over the world, and I had no art education. So going through and being one of the directors of that program gave me like a lot of insight as to art history, different kinds of artists, different kinds of artworks. Um, and during that whole time, I was also showing my artwork in different galleries and places in the city. And I had a couple of great projects. I started painting murals more and more in the city during that time. I was doing all of the murals for free, or if they could pay for my paint, great. Um, and through that, through being like on the street painting, someone would come by, like the owner of live stream came by, saw me painting, asked me to go paint in his offices, and then another person, and it just moved so quickly. And I was painting so much in Brooklyn specifically, and I had some really really great and like life changing exhibitions with the gallery Cotton Candy Machine, which was in Williamsburg. Um, and before Williamsburg is like what it is now, but it was awesome. I had 2 exhibits there. One called Manimal Friends, which was like in conjunction with a children's book that I launched, and we sold out every single painting there, which had never happened to me before. And then I had another exhibit there called Pushing Wood for another book that I did. It's like an illustrative book about skateboarding,
Hmm.
where we sold 28 paintings at the show. And after that, I sold a lot of almost the whole show, which was 50 paintings. Um, so those 2 experiences, I think, were really solidified that was the career that I was gonna take, along with all my other experiences. But just you know, having that experience at the Cotton Candy Machine, and thank you, Sean and Tara, for like believing in me. Those were really the experiences that kind of shaped the way that I was seeing New York. Um, that partnered with starting to paint murals and doing all the residency stuff, really kind of uh, shaped my vision at that time. And it got to a point where I was selling a lot of work. I was sending work to other exhibits and other places, but it's still, it's still tough to sell artwork and to pay your rent in New York City. Um, it got to the point where I was having multiple exhibits, I was painting multiple murals, and I was starting to save money from my job finally. And then they told me that they were going to shut the program down. And I was going to be left jobless. And that made me furious because they ended up shutting down the residency program that I was directing because the board of directors just didn't want to find any more funding. They were just over it. And that led me to say, okay, you know what? F you. I'm going to then run my own artist residency program. And I'm going to run an artist residency program that is so unique, that is tailored to illustrators and the kinds of people that were showing at like Faux Gallery, at the Cotton Candy Machine, the artists that I was into. And we're going to give them an opportunity to not only travel around the U.S. in an RV, but they're going to be able to paint murals, go camping, and we're going to document every single thing that we're doing. And so in the fall of 2016, we launched Dripped on the Road. Me and my two other business partners, Denton Burrows and Jonathan Neville, we launched Dripped on the Road. And it was crazy. I mean, like
I love the enthusiasm.
It was just so nuts because like everyone said there's no way you're going to be able to do this. People at prominent galleries that like I was so interested in were like, that sounds cool, but there's no way you're going to be able to do it. They're like, have you ever driven a 35-foot RV? Nope. Have you ever raised $20,000? Not really. I mean, I had worked with that kind of money before in my other jobs, but not like me going and asking for sponsorships and stuff like that. They're like, have you ever like there's all these different things that people were like, there's no way you're going to do that.
But didn't you
But we
figure it out like
fucking
super
did.
fast?
Huh?
Didn't you figure it out super fast though?
Well, again, like I had gone to business school before. I was the director of an artist residency program. I'd painted a lot of murals at that point. And with my business partners, John and Denton, um, we were able to do it. And like the thing that we just like sat down, we planned our route. We were going to go to Miami for Art Basel, and we looked at like different cities along the way. And I just started calling people and like doing like, hey, you're an arts organization. Would you be interested in having us come to your place and paint a mural? You can pay us a little bit or you don't. Um, Denton was able to get PBR to sponsor us. And I was able to get Wix.com to sponsor us through our website. And so we were like, came together and we got a lot of sponsors and we were able to like fundraise very well, for our first couple of trips. Um, and, yeah, I mean, it came together very quickly. We talked about it in June, and in November, we had a 2016? We had a 2016 35-foot RV with flat screens in it, beds for everybody, brand new. And you know who that was also thanks to? That was thanks to like another thing through skateboarding, Kevin Emerson.
How did he hook up an RV?
Because like me and me and Rob from Converse. Rob that used to work at Theory.
Collins.
Yeah, Rob Collins.
Yeah, little Rob.
Me,
Well, medium-sized Rob now, but
yeah, now he's bigger. But me and Rob had an exhibit at KCDC in New York, in Brooklyn, and we had an exhibit there. And he brought friends, and I brought friends, and Kevin Emerson showed up. And me and him had skated in Northampton, and all that. So we knew each other, and we started talking. And I was telling him about this project that I wanted to do, and he was like, "Oh, my brother actually owns an RV superstore in Connecticut. You should give him a call." And I explained it to them. I explained our program. They like kind of got it, but we asked for an RV on the off season. We didn't ask for it in May. We asked for it like in November. So in November, they were like, hell yeah, like we'll give you like a 90% discount on this RV if you want to take it, because no one's going to use it anyways, and we might as well get some use out of it and get a little bit of money. So they gave us a crazy discount. And we brought it on the road for 45 days. We were supposed to only be on the road for 30 days, but when we were in Miami, someone offered us like a huge wall on the Miami River, and we stayed. And yeah, it was just an unbelievable experience. The first trip, I think, was for me the most life changing. Because all the other trips after that we've done have also been unbelievable and incredible, but it was just that was the first one where we like all really got out of our comfort zones. I mean, sleeping all together in an RV, like if I have to piss in the middle of the night, everyone's gonna hear me getting up, moving around, opening the door, going out. You have to stretch your patience with everyone. It was just such an incredible experience. You can find all of these things as a documentary series that we have on our website. And yeah, it was unbelievable.
That sounds like a MTV show waiting to happen. Real
Well,
world trip on the road.
I would love to pitch it to like Netflix or to someone to do like a series, or to just do like a short documentary about what we've done and what we're able to do. And it is pretty incredible to go from the logistics of fitting a 35-foot RV into an alleyway in Washington, D.C., and then the next day being in the Smoky Mountains, and then the next day being in Nashville, Tennessee, and then the next day being in, like another forest where we're camping, and the next day being in Atlanta. So it is just so wild. And we were able to do it. And that was something that really, really showed us that we could do something like that. But I think really it also showed other people that they can also do these projects. That traveling around the United States as an American is one of the most important things that you can do. We have I would say, one of the most beautiful countries in the world. You have every single kind of climate here. And I just last summer I drove all the way to LA and I drove all the way back, like from the mountains of Maine all the way to New York City. It's one of the best cities in the world. All the way up to the Great Lakes in the Dakotas, Wyoming, and the unbelievable forests, like almost tropical forests of Washington State. To the Rockies, to Kentucky. I know people are like, "Why Kentucky?" But dude, like the hills of Kentucky and the pastures are unbelievable. West Virginia, unbelievable, beautiful state. California, crazy. It's just so so many. The desert that we have in Utah and in Nevada, in Arizona, Texas. You have swamps in Louisiana. Anyway, I don't even tell you, but it's just the country's so big, and I think it's so important for people to see it because it's incredible. And one very, very, very important thing that we learned on that trip, we went on the trip in November of 2016, and we were in D.C. the night of the election, and we left D.C. and we went to a forest outside of in North Carolina. And the next day, Trump was elected. And it was so important to drive through the U.S. and leave the New York City bubble and see and understand that the second that we left, we were like, oh, Trump's going to win. I mean, there was like signs, there was flags, people were like, there was shit everywhere that was pro-Trump. So right after that, we were still traveling, we were like Northerners going down through the South, through Georgia and through all that. But it was just an incredible experience to like connect with the people and to just see that, people are people. And no matter what people's politics are, they're still human and they still want and require safety, food, shelter, water, and healthcare. And those are all things that we can all, as people and humans and Americans, can get behind. Um, and we can support each other in those things. And it was just incredible to see how when we would paint a mural, all kinds of people from all walks of life, from all kinds of um, uh, political views, would actually come together, watch us paint, and then have conversations that they may not have had if we weren't painting there.
Of course, yeah.
Um,
It's a great equalizer.
yeah, yeah. You don't have to pay to get into a museum. It's there. They're watching us do it, and it was, that was a real humbling experience, to go down to through the South and to talk to people, and yeah, there was some crazy people. There was some all kinds of people, but it was just important to see that. Um, and for me, who I said, I love to travel and I love to meet new people, new cultures and stuff. It was just incredible, and that was the experience that we want to give to other artists through our residency program. And we chose to film all of it because we want that not just to be our experience and not just to be the residency experience, but to be anyone who watches it can kind of escape their place for a little bit and watch and learn and travel with us, um, and see, the United States from the ground up.
Hmm.
And that's what I've been doing.
Are you still doing? Are you gonna do like another road trip like that?
Yeah, it was planned for right now. I should have been
Oh,
on the road. So our program started, painting murals and doing all this stuff, and it's grown up. We are now very, very interested a lot more in working with the community organizations, and nonprofits and stuff like that than like sponsors. Of course, we do need money, so we'll always, we're gonna take money from someone. That's how you survive. Um, but we are focused also on a new kind of like wing of our residency program called creative sustainability, where we not only fundraise for ourselves, but wherever we go, we want to offset our carbon emissions because let's be honest, spray painting and public art also like creates pollution.
so
And
does an RV.
sometimes, huh?
So does an RV.
Yes,
Big
of
time.
course. An RV guzzles a lot of gas.
Yeah.
And so what we kind of came up with, was to go to a small town like Indiana, Pennsylvania, and we partnered with another residency program there called the Spruce Residency. And the plan was, and it still is, it's going to happen later this summer, to bring 4 artists there to have them actually live in the residency program that Spruce has. We would drive there, not in an RV anymore. We would drive there in 2 other vehicles, stay there stationary, paint murals for this town that only has 3 public murals there. Um, and it's still a coal town. So like there are still huge coal towers, you know, huge coal processing towers and plants there. A majority of the population has asthma, and it is it is. I don't want to like politicize it, but it is just a place that doesn't really get a lot of public art, doesn't really get a lot of people coming and going through there,
Are you saying
and
it's MAGA country?
it could be, but there's all kinds of people there, just like anywhere. And we just felt after speaking with the director, Hannah, we felt that that was the perfect place for us to go and to create public art there and to do community workshops. And overall, what we were going to do and what we have done is we have raised money to buy 100 trees, and we're going to be planting 100 trees when we go there, to offset our carbon emissions and to give back to the community in an environmental way. And we will be planting those in a riparian buffer zone, which means that we're going to be planting them around a stream. And what those trees will do is their roots will be cleaning the water. It will be dropping leaves into the stream to like feed all the little bugs and all the animals and stuff. It will be creating shade into the water, so to lower the temperature of the water. And it's going to be cleaning the air and giving us oxygen. Um, and those are like the kinds of programs that I want to be working with.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very, very proud of that. And I'm proud that, myself and my business partners, in the residency program that we're partnered with now, that we're able to do this, because that means so much more to me than if I just sold a painting. I can sell a million paintings, but like when you go and you talk with people and they're so excited for you to go there, and they're not like, they're just so happy for you to be there, and thankful. That's what I want to do. And that's what I really, really think is the power of public art, in these kinds of community engagement projects. And so we've grown up, we want to give back, and you can do these things and also live, and make a living. I think a lot of people, because they saw us in our RV, thought that we had a lot of money. We don't. We barely, we fundraise, but like we fundraise enough to run our program, and that's it. This has been a passion project of ours. We've never made money off of it to like pay all these our rents or anything like that. And we've dedicated a lot of money into filming all of it because, again, we believe that we can pass that on, that vision and that mission on to other people through our documentary series.
Mm-hmm. No, it's
But that's
beautiful, man.
basically where we are now. And we were supposed to be there April 13th through the 28th of April, painting murals for the city. And unfortunately, we're not able to do it. But we have all of the funding that we raised through very many generous contributions. And we're really excited to get there. Hopefully at the end of the summer. And really bring, life events in public art to the city of Indiana.
Mm-hmm. That's dope. I love that. I'm proud
Thanks,
for you
man.
because I totally understand what you mean. Like, you don't really care so much about the money anymore, so much as the fulfillment of your craft.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
And,
back
and,
that.
and being a leader in our field, you know, um, I want to show people that you can paint murals and you can also do good, for the community. I want to show people that you can have whatever political background that you want to have, but like public art is there to bring people together. And it's really important, and I do of course need money, and funding, and we try to get some funding for ourselves, and I still of course sell paintings and drawings and paint murals for money and all that kind of stuff, but for our residency program specifically, that really is our mission. And that has really trickled into my life as well, because now we are trying to do other projects like paint a free mural for the local firehouse here. Those guys and girls are going out every single day, whenever there's an emergency, no matter what's going on in the world. And we want to give back to them and paint a mural there, whether it's like an American flag or whatever they'd like, to give back to them. And I think John F. Kennedy during his inauguration said it best: "Ask not what your country can do for you; ask what you can do for your country." And that's kind of a little bit of my motto right now,
Mm-hmm.
especially with everything that's going on right now.
Of
People
course.
are just so selfish going out. You see what's happening in Michigan and some of these other places, going out with machine guns and demanding liberty. Like, it,
Yeah, that's just
how
next level.
ironic it is that you have a machine gun and you're demanding liberty.
Right.
It's so crazy. Isn't that liberty enough that someone allowed you to have a fucking machine gun?
Right. Yeah. Not only is it a constitutional right, it's like the fact that you're doing it and not getting arrested for it too is that's plenty of liberty. Um.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, it's crazy, and I would just leave it at the fact that they're just being selfish. And like I was saying recently too, like, I'm in Brooklyn. The studio I'm filming in right now is it's right next to Home Depot, and so it's like a predominantly Hasidic neighborhood area. It's like South Williamsburg, Bed-Stuy, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's like there's honestly, in my opinion, after being here for the past month and a half, there's really no difference that I see between the Hasidic community and the people in Michigan that you speak of. They may dress different, look different, speak different, but like the selfishness is exactly the same. The fact that they won't listen to the science and they just keep on congregating together is fucking. It's like rude. It's straight up rude, in my opinion. It's very
I
frustrating.
it's I think the word that you said there is really important. This is science. This isn't like, and I understand there's statistics and people they need help. They need money. Um, and I understand that people want to go back to work. Or want other people to go back to work also. But like, some people are saying everyone should go back to work. Well, now you're asking me to put myself at risk because you want your hair done. You know what I mean? Because you want to go to McDonald's, like, because you want like to go to the diner down the street. Get the fuck out of here. Um,
Yeah. I mean, like, I
it's
understand, I sort of agree in the sense that certain things should start opening back up, but, like, forgive me, internet, but fuck it. There needs to be some segregation based on age and risk factor. Like, if you're low risk, I think you should start to be able to kind of go back into the workforce. Granted, also in the perfect world, we would have more testing being done, so that we could start testing, especially the younger people, being like, "You don't have it, cool." Start giving people certificates so that they're safe, kind of like a analog version of contact tracing that they're doing in South Korea. That would be fucking perfect. Of course, I understand that we don't have that, and it kind of goes back to the beginning of our conversation. The government fucked up and dropped the ball there, and we don't have the adequate amount of testing being done or a test period, and therefore that's kind of the bottleneck right now for us. Is like because we can't test everyone, everyone has to stay in now, including the people that might be low risk, like you and I, right?
Yeah, look, it doesn't matter. That doesn't matter how low risk you are. If you can carry it and then transfer it to another person, but you're low risk, bro. I'm sorry, but you got to stay inside. Like there isn't. Or until there is, for example, an antibody test where you can go and they can see that, oh, you've already had it. You're not going to be able to, and it's been 28 days, and you're not going to be able to transfer it to another person because you already have the antibodies. Okay, that's totally fine. But the fact that the federal government has not been able to pull their weight, and of course Trump was never going to do that, because he doesn't want to have any responsibility with this. Um, that's the biggest problem, and I can tell you that because my father is an infectious disease specialist who is treating people with this. One of the things that they told me is that hospitals are about to start running out of money. Do you know why? So many hospitals, so many of them, the way that they make a lot of their funding is through special surgeries. That's the way that they make a lot of their money. They get it through special surgeries. Right now, there aren't surgeries being done because that's risky. And so, can you believe that we live in a system where hospitals make money off of surgeries instead of having the government paying for this shit that everyone needs? It's unbelievable. And look, you and I, our parents, we came to this country because we thought it was going to be better, than the countries that we're in. And of course it is. Of course it is in many aspects. But dude, this is preposterous what is happening here. And it's infuriating. And the only thing that we can really do at the end of the day is we need to make sure that just get another Republican, get someone else. But this person is so corrupt, and they're taking so much money and making so many deals for themselves, that, I mean, Kushner, it's a disaster. And they're destroying the United States, not just for the liberals, but for everyone who lives here.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah, scorched earth.
yeah, and I mean, like, we can't have health insurance only if you have a job. That's crazy. Like, if my neighbors are all losing their jobs, and including myself, and now we don't have health care, that's crazy, dude. We don't live in, we need to do better.
Of
And
course.
so that's what, like, that is what keeps pushing me to doing these public art projects, getting more involved, and just trying to myself be a better person and pass that on to other people. and caring for each other, no matter what people's politics are, to to look at them eye to eye and to work with them until, of course, they pull out some crazy gun or something.
Yeah. Now tell me, have you done, since this all started like a month and a half ago, have you made any COVID-19 related artwork, or have you made any artwork that would benefit any type of public organization or public aid for people that are struggling because of COVID-19?
What I have done is I turned my children's book into a coloring book. And it's free. I'm not selling it. So anyone can go online, can go on my website, download it, and color with their kids. I haven't necessarily made like a nurse with a mask, or anything like that. Yet. I know that I definitely want to, and I will do some things, like probably do like a drawing or a digital drawing of like a house for like stay home. I have a friend, Allison, who is a nurse in Worcester in Massachusetts. So I'm actually going to be making her a drawing and sending it to her for free. But the only like COVID-19, I guess, work, that I have done is made different fuck Trump shirts like this that anyone can get on my Threadless. And because I just think that, there needs to be some kind of resistance to this idiocracy that we're living in. So that's, what I've been able to do. I've seen a lot of people do, specifically COVID-19 things, but I want to, like, there's so much news with that stuff that I want to pull people like away from that.
Hmm.
Like I want them to focus on like coloring like a tiger or something, or like doing this like shark that I painted behind me, something like that. Um, Not like, coloring in a pandemic handbook. It's
Right, right.
like you're hearing about it all day. You don't need to color it in, go outside, do something else, like
Of course.
I don't know.
Yeah, what have you been doing? I mean, I imagine you've been painting a lot, but what else have you been doing to keep your mind busy?
I've been reading a lot. I've been exercising a lot. We're lucky enough to be up here, upstate New York. So we go hiking a lot. We've been able to work here in our garden and like redo our entire shed. And like I mentioned before, Grace's family is 5 minutes away. Grace is my partner. Her family's 5 minutes away in a larger house than we have. Her parents are there. Her sister and her brother-in-law are there, and their two kids, Ike and Tessa, who are 4 and 5. So usually at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we have to like homeschool them, so there's like Zoom classes with their schools in New York and all that, and they actually live in New York City, but they came up here to be away from that.
Mm.
And they came up here like in the beginning of March, not knowing that this was going to happen, and then it just happened, and so they just stayed. So we're basically, it kind of gives the family some structure because we wake up here in our own house. We do emails and like graphics and all kinds of stuff that we need to do for clients or whatever. So I'll tell you like my day. My regular day is I wake up at 7:30. I make coffee and I read a book for about an hour. I like the most incredible book that I like highly, highly, highly recommend that everybody reads is a book called Educated, which is about a woman who grew up in a Mormon household in Iowa, no, Idaho, um, and who ended up getting a PhD, and she was homeschooled, and her father is like a schizophrenic Mormon who didn't believe in medicine or anything like that, So it's incredible. You should read it. But anyways, so I wake up at like 7:30, coffee. I read for an hour. Then I go running. I run like 2.5 miles. Do some exercise and answer emails. Do a little bit of artwork and stuff. And then usually by 1 o'clock, we go to Grace's parents' house. And at 1 o'clock, we do art class for 2 hours with the kids. And then we do like hiking or exercise or like outdoor stuff for another 2 hours. with them. So we have them for almost like 4 hours every day. And once that's over, we stay there, and we have a couple of adult drinks, adult beverages, if you say, which I think we're having a lot of adult beverages. I think everyone is, since we're like stuck.
Of course.
And and then we have dinner, and then we'll like watch like a documentary or something like that. So that gives the whole family some structure, and something to kind of like look forward to every single day, and it's great. It's been able to keep us sane, and to keep us like connected and working with each other, and yeah, more than anything, sane. I mean, having the two kids around, uh, they're awesome. They're great. They're 4 and 5. Like they want to just adventure and do all this stuff, and they know that something weird is going on because they haven't been in their house in New York City for like a month and a half now. But they're taking it really well, and as long as we can kind of continue with these schedule, kids need like schedules. That will also help us, the adults. So that's basically like how my days go. Um, and
Do you see
I'm
this?
just blessed to be up here, and I'm so grateful for Grace to have bought this house, and for her family to like, to be so welcoming with me, and all that.
Of course. Um, with these new changes, the way that we're all communicating, the way that we're working together, through like Zoom, Skype, literally like what I'm even doing right here. Like I have a fucking microphone sitting on a Bluetooth speaker connected to my computer, doing an interview with you here. Do you see this as staying permanent and us evolving from this like I hate using the term new normal, but this new structure that we are using for conducting business? Like, do you see this as staying permanent and us evolving from here? Because I've already like even yesterday, Andrew Cuomo did a address to the to the news rather, and he was talking about how not returning to New York, but reimagining the new that we're returning to. You know what I mean? Like once all this starts to pass, once businesses open back up, like what are we going to be doing that's new? How do you see that affecting your business and I guess your way of life, your daily how you personally conduct business? Like I imagine you're probably going to be doing a lot of Zoom calls with clients in the future in terms of like what they want for illustrations or murals. I mean, obviously like sometimes there is going to be like a client presence that's going to want to be, say for example, if you got hit up by like a beer company to do a mural on a wall, obviously there's probably going to be a client or two that wants to be on set, right? Or like by the wall. But for the most part, do you see that as a permanent change?
No, I don't see it as a permanent change. I think, because I think that like the going back to whatever we were doing in a permanent change is just, it doesn't happen like that. There's going to be something in the middle, where I think yes, many companies and businesses will want to do this. I mean, they can see how like it cuts your costs. Um, I think a huge thing that everyone's kind of forgetting about right now is the environment. The fact that people aren't flying all over the world using so much, like, dude, like yesterday, like the price for a barrel of oil was negative $35. Um, yeah, they were just going to give you $35 in a barrel of oil to take it, because there's so many people that aren't using oil and gas and all that stuff that they just have so much of it. So one, what is going on right now is really, really good, at least for the environment. And I hope that we can use what we've learned during this time as a positive way to continue to do business, but also to help the environment. The environmental problem right now is way bigger than COVID-19. Because they're both tied, right? These are both things that happen through the heating of the planet, through mass migrations of people that have to move, through all kinds of stuff like that. So I think if some businesses and some people can start making these changes, it will be very, very positive for the planet. Will they Will all of it be like this? No. I assume that a lot of people, the second that this is over, they're gonna go out and they're gonna trash a lot of shit, because they're not gonna be really thinking about that, and they just want what's comfortable for them. Um, if you've seen right now, Trump has cut a lot of environmental regulations,
Hmm.
and not just him, like the people who are around him. They've cut a lot of that stuff so they can get business back to normal or whatever. That's a disaster. That's a disaster. So it's kind of tough, but I have, so as an illustrator, I've had these meetings all the time, because I have clients from all over the world, all over the U.S., who I've had to meet through these kinds of video chats, Zoom, Skype, whatever. Chat with them. They send me an email with the kind of ideas that they have for the design, and then we just kind of go back and forth. So for freelancers, actually, like, we're kind of used to doing this kind of stuff, and used to being, in our own studios and kind of more alone than most people who go to like a 9 to 5 job. Um, so I think it's just, I think there's just going to be a middle ground. But I really hope that people can like learn from this. I don't think they will. But I really hope people will learn from this, and that we can make societal changes to not only benefit ourselves, but to benefit the planet, which in turn is benefiting ourselves.
Right, right.
um, but it's tough, a face to face meeting with a client is always going to be the best. If I have to fly to LA to meet with a client who is going to give me a substantial amount of funding for whatever project I'm doing, I will fly there. We're not going to do this because I just think that like the in-person uh, meeting, especially with people of an older generation, is incredibly important. But we can see each other right now. We're from the same generation, and you can tell my enthusiasm and the way that I move and how I am, and the word choices that I have. Um, those it's important to be able to see each other. So I think some things will change, but I think some things will also go back to normal. So it's going to be kind of like a 50-50. I just hope that we can learn something from this. And the number one thing is the fact that every American needs to have affordable health care, and it should be paid for by the government. And we can chip in a little bit more, but this is crazy.
For sure. Well, do you think there's going to be a more of a push now for people to, I guess, try to be more healthy? Because a lot of people are very part of the complacency that's going on. I feel like in the world right now is too much of an okay to just being okay. And that's not to say like to not try harder career wise or whatever, but I'm talking about like just being too comfortable with not having to try that hard and getting by like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like I feel like
yeah,
we just had it way too easy. And once again, going back to us being immigrants, like we know what it's like to struggle through shit. But I feel like a lot of especially America doesn't know that. So right now when I see a lot of people complaining about like oh they would starve if Uber Eats didn't come or if like Amazon Prime didn't deliver their food, it's like I understand for a certain percentage of the population that literally should not be leaving the house. But for the most part, though, the majority of the people that I do speak of are the people that are trying to like virtue signal via Instagram. You know what I mean? Do you think there's going to
yes.
be like a shift of gears there where people kind of like uh,
Yes,
wake up per
yes. I mean,
se?
I think so. It makes sense what you're saying. I mean, it's hey, knock it off. It's This has been really impactful and scarring for people. It has been scarring for people's mental health, and it like this is a thing that has happened. So I think that people will learn from it, and I think that people will will hopefully make the appropriate changes in their lives to continue to be healthy, to continue to stop traveling, like, air travel when you don't need to so much, um, to continue to do the things that hopefully they were doing right now throughout the quarantine. Um, but I also know that some people won't, because that's just the nature of humanity.
Hmm.
And whoever's saying that, like, they wouldn't be able to, I don't know. They're different things. I can't, not being in the city anymore. Like, I can't speak to the fact of, like, dude, for example, no one here gets Uber Eats. I don't even know if that exists up here. So, like, if you need food, you're gonna drive your ass to the grocery store, wear a mask, wear gloves, and run through the grocery store until you can leave again. Um, but like, people do complain, and Americans do have it good, but at the same time, like, not everybody has it that well.
Of
You know,
course.
everyone still is having to pay crazy rents, crazy mortgages, crazy car loans, all kinds of stuff, while the federal government is giving millions of dollars and billions and trillions of dollars to these fucking companies that are still taking our money. Um, so and people from all walks of life, whether you're a Democrat, Republican, Green Party, it doesn't matter. People have also had it tough here, and I think, I just hope that we will move forward with, like, a better and healthier outlook for not only, like, our bodies, but our mental health, and the health of the planet. That's my number one hope, and I think we have to be the people who we want to see, right? So we have to be the change that we want to see out there. And if I want to see a leader who is going to lead by example and who's going to do the things that I want them to do, I need to do that, and I need to be the first person to do that. And that's hard for people, And I can understand people who have kids, who have a 9 to 5, who have all these bills and all this stuff to pay. I totally understand that. But I think that we can be better.
Of course.
Um, and it's just hard because it really means people getting out of their comfort zone,
Hmm.
and people are literally in their comfort zone right now, which is their house, and they're
Well,
complaining about
exactly. That's what
it.
I'm saying. That I was talking to Brett the other day. I was like, you know why a lot of people are such fucking gung ho social justice warriors right now about like stay home, fight the cure. It's because like literally to fight the virus, all you have to do is fucking sit at home. Like that's not trying. If you actually have to try to do something, you would be on your ass still and complaining that you can't do it. You know what I mean? Like that's my issue with a lot of people, especially the ones that try to shame me. Like anytime I go skate, I'm like, especially if a skater tries to shame me for going skating, I'm like, yo, you know how like not antisocial, but how distant we are naturally when we're skating. If we're skating to a spot, you're not passing people. You're in the street next to cars. When you're skating with your friends, skating with friends, it literally means like you're watching your buddy do something, and then you might be behind him like 30 feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
crazy to me. But yeah, back to the
Um,
whole like, yeah, to try to fight this virus is literally just staying at home. It's like, oh, for once, it's like you think you have a say because all you literally have to do is sit at fucking home and watch Netflix. Like, congrats, you get a trophy.
yeah, I can't believe people are complaining about that. You know, Americans, not me, because I'm not from here, but Americans, their grandparents and some of their parents, they were drafted to a war, dude, when this kind of shit happened. They weren't asked to sit at their house and watch fucking Netflix. They were asked to go kill a bunch of Germans in Germany,
Yeah.
and all over the world. Some people were asked and drafted against their own will to go fight a war in Vietnam that mattered fucking nothing, you know? Um, so this is crazy. Like,
Of course.
but I feel the economic impact. I also lost a lot of money. I also, like, have barely savings to, like, keep moving forward. But I just, like, this will continue to go and fuck people over until everyone stays inside so that this shit is handled. And when this shit is handled, we need to get rid of these people in the government. Um, because they're this would have been so much better handled if we, dude. This is imagine if Hillary Clinton would have been president. Things would have been so much more different. The way that she would have handled things, the way that she would have asked for funding for all kinds of shit. I mean, you have to like imagine the world of differences that are that in the world of differences between these two people and how they've affected the American society. This is a disaster, dude.
Well, I can't agree or disagree just because I'm not really that deep into politics. I think overall, though, from my slim knowledge of politics, A, it's an election year, so everyone's trying to cover their own asses, and B, there's also a lot of blame going on China for the fact that they underreported or just completely squashed the fact that it was a real issue in the first place. And that's how, like, if we were 2, 3 weeks ahead of this, if China were to report everything that there was a potential pandemic, in the near future, if they did that 2 or 3 weeks ahead of time, the majority of this could have been avoided. So that's like a whole nother story. But I'm just talking about, I guess, on a more micro level of like what we can do as individuals and what you in particular are looking to, like ways to grow, how you're gonna handle business going forward in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I am conscious of that. That's why that's one of my big reasons why I moved out of the city to here. I spend less money. I eat way better. I'm so much healthier. I'm reading a lot. I'm studying a lot of math because I'm trying to go back to do an MBA program. So I think that I'm made myself a better person than when I was in the city. That's just me. It has nothing to do with anyone else who lives in the city. That's just my own outlook on myself. Um, so I think that by telling that story to other people, maybe it can influence a couple of other people to do similar things and to work on themselves. Um, and I think that this time in quarantine has allowed people to see everyone else and what they're doing, and hopefully push them into into a better life, or at least into a better mindset to like, oh, I need to take care of myself, or oh, I need to do these things, or to do that. Um, that's just my hope. I will continue to like work for communities and to be like a person of the people, just because that's like what I was somewhat doing before, and that's like what we continue to do with our mural project, and with our residency program. And because I am an artist who does public art, um, that's like where my passion lies. And I have to be a better person than the people who I complain about, because if not, I'm just the same.
Hmm.
And like we have to make these changes ourselves. Like we can't like complain about other people and then do the same thing, you know. So that's my hope for people, is that hopefully they learn some shit.
Well put.
I mean, what about you? Like, how's it been over there
It's
in
not
the
nearly as
city?
bad as a lot of people are trying to make it out to be. And I feel like several people have hit me up now, like, yo, how are you? How is everything? I hear it's like, it's craziness. It's like, it's, in my opinion, no offense to anyone else that is suffering greatly. In my opinion, it could be so much worse. Like, I
Yeah.
think as many people as there are dying, that's like a whole nother different story for me too. Because in my opinion, it's like, well, there's fucking like 11 million people in New York City. Like, of course, a lot of people are dying. We live one on top of one another. Of course, people are contracting it. There's a pretty big old population. There's a huge unhealthy population in terms of how many people smoke a ton of cigarettes, eat shitty food like processed meats. Like all of Boar's Head meat is not good, and yet people get those sandwiches every single day, or chopped cheese. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to chopped cheese, delicious, but that's not good for you. Nor is bacon, egg, and cheese every single morning. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of people that are predisposed to catch not only catching it but also suffering and dying from it. I'm sure the hospitals are suffering. Overall, though, daily life it's very tame, and if it wasn't for the aforementioned things, I would say this is kind of paradise right now. The city is so quiet, it's so mellow. Um, Traffic is very slim to none. Like I can make it to Chinatown right now in 8 minutes from my house. It's
On a
unheard of.
bike?
No, driving.
Oh, driving.
Like, granted, I live
Nice.
in Clinton Hills, so it's not that far. It's just the Manhattan Bridge right across. Boom, you're there. But still, normally, like, I could probably leave right now and go there and make it in 10 to 12 minutes from my studio, which is in Bed-Stuy. And that's only because I have to drive through the Hasidic part, which is, normally pretty congested no matter the day.
Yeah.
But,
Wow, that's incredible.
yeah, it's not that bad. The only thing that sucks is, like, things like, buying groceries in bulk kind of a pain in the ass right now because there's normally lines to go into the grocery stores now. Or doing laundry, the laundromat only allows 10 people at a time, and you can't leave until your laundry's done. So it's like, I have to load my shit up, wait for it to wash, wait for the dryer, so it's like, but once again, those are little inconveniences. It's like, that's fine. That's whatever. It's not like I'm working right now. I lost my fucking job. I have all the time in
Yeah.
the world. I bring my Kindle and boom, the hour just flies right by. So it's all good. So yeah, for
Yeah.
the most part, like I said, and like knock on wood, I'm healthy. I'll stay healthy. I've been doing plenty of calisthenics, biking, working. Now, like I said, I don't have a job, so I'm trying to develop my skills, my creativity, especially, and I'm trying to shoot as much as possible. Like I have a little documentary idea in the works. I'm doing this podcast. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing we
Yeah.
really can do, especially creatives. Like this is the time to shine. This is the time, especially if you have ideas brewing. So long as you can do the ideas without the necessity for groups of people, then it's like you're pretty fucking golden. Just like get your laptop out if you want to become a graphic designer. I bet you, even if you
Do
can't
it.
get on, yeah, if you can't, exactly, just literally just fucking do that shit. There's no excuses anymore. Like, oh, you don't have time. What else are you doing? Eating, napping. Like,
Dude, it's
sorry,
true.
like go get some
The
Cafe
only
Bustelo, make a batch of really cheap coffee, get your shit boosting, and hit the laptop, get the camera out. That's another thing I've been doing. Like you were saying, stay at home. I understand, but when I'm going around shooting shit, it's like I'm not near people. First off,
Yeah,
there's not
yeah,
even that many
yeah.
people on the streets, anyways, and I'm normally on a bike or a skateboard. I'm not near people. You know what I mean? And I got the mask and gloves, anyways. Like I'm being precautious and also, trying to stay busy.
Yeah. I mean, I think I totally hear that, and it's good to hear that you're doing that, and that like you're doing these kinds of projects, staying creative, staying positive with yourself, and staying healthy. I think it's a completely different story for people who have children, because I spend 4 hours with the kids every single day, like being like their teacher and stuff. And dude, spending all your day with those kids, you're not really gonna learn new things.
Of course.
Like you're not, like you're not. They need so much attention until they get to a certain age. So maybe they're like 8 or 9, but like we don't put them in front of a TV because that's just going to make them into zombies. Everyone is fully engaged. We teach them. The grandparents taught them how to read. In these 6 weeks. So the grandparents do a couple hours, and me and Grace do a couple of hours. Their parents are still working, so they're working from home. They're just like busy. They can't go learn a new thing because they're luckily for them they're still working and earning an income. And if they weren't, they would be with their kids not learning new things every day. They would be with their kids like, let's go on a hike, let's do this, let's do that. They don't nap. So you never get a break.
Yeah.
So I think there's just a variety. There's such a spectrum of how people are dealing with it and how they're able to learn new things or to not. We are lucky that we're able to have this kind of space to do these things.
Oh, we're
Um,
super blessed, and I'll never take that for granted. I keep on telling people, and like I'll continue to tell people. Literally, since this shit all started, I'm like, I quickly did a summary of everything I have and don't have, and I'm like, oh, I got this. Like I'm good as long as I take care of myself. Once again, staying physically active, mentally healthy, which those two are pretty closely linked as well. It's
yeah,
like I'm just trying to make it. I'm trying to be a better person coming out of this than I was coming into it. You know what I mean? And once again,
yeah,
100% blessed the fact that I have that opportunity because I don't have a mortgage, I don't have kids, I don't have any crazy responsibilities to take care of. My parents can, for the most part, take care of themselves right now still. You know what I mean? So it's like, once again, this is my opportunity to try to shine and like build a foundation for myself that's self-sustaining to go towards the future so that when I do have kids, when I do have to take care of my parents more, it's like my parents don't live anywhere near the city. 3 hours isn't that far, but it's still far enough. It's not like going to like New
Yeah.
Jersey, you know what I mean? So it's like I want to have that foundation so that I can I don't have to stress about like I guess imposter syndrome, but also just like the reality of trying to sustain for myself and being able to have a life and be financially free to be able to live in New York or like live period. Like there's no place in the world right now that's getting cheaper really to live. So it's like
Yeah.
yeah, I'm trying to build.
Well, that's good. I'm proud of you, man. This is awesome. Um, yeah, this is great, dude. Oh,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad. It's nice to have these conversations too.
yeah, for sure. I think it's like this is really has reconnected a lot of people, and I just hope people will continue to stay connected and will remember like, but also this isn't over. This is going to go like this for another year until they, in some form or another, at least medically, until they find some kind of vaccine or cure from it. That's like not some dumb Donald Trump comment,
Of
you
course, of
know.
course.
So this will certainly continue like this. And it's like what you said. It's just like seeing how we can move forward after this with hopefully things that we've learned, and not just learned like that I learned on the computer, but like learned about like how our society has been working and what our society really needs. Like, what is really important? Is it important that like you get Uber Eats, or is it important that we all have healthcare? Or that we all have a good educational foundation? Um, because like if you are rich and you have money and you have a good health care and good education and your kids do, but mine don't, mine are going to rob your kids. So like, we all need to have these things.
Right.
Um,
Let's just leave it there on a high note.
but yeah, and hopefully when this is all over, I can go back down there and we can skate and like do some stuff.
Oh, absolutely. That's coming.
Hell yeah. Well, say hi to anyone you may see, or if you do a Skype with like Nelson or someone, tell them I say what's up. And thanks again for this. And let me know how I can help you promote and push this out to people and all of your other stuff too. Just let me
Absolutely.
know.
Real quick, give me your plug. Instagram, website.
So my Instagram is at Ramiro, Ramiro Studios. And my website, same thing, ramirostudios.com. And our residency program, which is where all the documentary series and videos are, is dotheroad.com. And it's the same at Do the Road on Instagram. So I hope everybody can watch them, love them, enjoy them, spread like a lot of knowledge, positivity, good vibes. And Tom, thank you so much for doing this. This has been awesome. It's great to see you.